Welcome, age of vintage society. Nita Naldi was a star, a dark-haired femme fatale. As a debutante in Hollywood, she grabbed the whole industry by the balls, acting alongside more established personalities. Where did Nita Naldi get her enormous sensual energy? As you all know how much I appreciate you, my viewers, I want to thank you for your generous comments and for the Patreons. This video would not have been possible without you, and thanks to those who watched the video right to the end. Nita Naldi is obscure, which is ironic since her characters in movies are flamboyant. The esteemed seductress, or vamp, as she was popularly referred to at the time, was the female version of Rudolph Valentino. She created the nickname Female Valentino, which hints at how vain she could be. However, her vanity didn't come from a life of wealth or luxury. She was a vaudevillian, a symbol of the revue, and one of the stars of Earl Carroll Theatre, known for its showing of brief glimpses of nudity. As a vaudevillian of the Earl Carroll Theatre, she got acted in different shows, and it was these shows that put her on the radar of notable Hollywood personalities. This also applied to her co-stars, as they became notable personalities too, by virtue of Hollywood, strategic marriages, or both. Notable among her revue co-stars were Mae Murray and Marion Davies. For Nita, true stardom came with the film Blood and Sand, which she did along with Rudolph Valentino. It was the first of their few films, and the film that nailed the typecast coffin for Nita. Filmmakers only wanted her to do similar roles for their films, so her skills as an actress weren't tested. She was a one-dimensional actress, although her delectability contributed to this. The look upon this actress sent men into a frenzy. They wanted to peel her clothes off and travel the course of her body. Her effect on the audience was immense, and in Blood and Sand she seduced men into buying tickets for the film. No one could get enough of the gorgeous actress. Amazingly, she won the part in the film on a bizarre incident which gave her an advantage. So she struggled to get the part of the supporting female role like the other top female actresses at the time. The allure of working with Rudolph Valentino was the major motivation for her, as it was for the other actresses. Rudolph was one of the finest actors in Hollywood, with some delightful movies under his belt. Rudolph had dazzled in films like The Sheik and The Four Horsemen, which were both successful. Any serious actress or actor wanted to share the screen with the box office god. Mr. Blasco Ibanez was the man of the hour, as his novels got repeatedly adapted into films, and he had some power and influence to determine who would star in the movie adaptations of his works. Also, he had false teeth. You probably wonder about what false teeth have to do with anything. Well, it does, and you'll find out soon enough. Nita met Ibanez at a party that her mother's friend and legendary Spanish opera classical singer Maria Barrientos invited her to attend. Ibanez, whose work always tugged the mind of the audience with themes and concepts which were daring, was having fun at the party. The man's work looked sympathetic to communism. However, he wasn't afraid that he would be picked up by the government, so he enjoyed the party to his heart's content. Nita challenged Ibanez, one of the most brilliant writers of the time. She told him to his face that now that he had become successful, he would change his ideology about communism, which he not so subtly promoted with his works, especially The Cathedral. The theme of The Cathedral was charity, and to Nita charity would soon disappear from Ibanez now that he was rich. Ibanez was challenged. He had met someone with intellectual nous and the bravery to challenge him. That someone was also wearing a delicious low-cut gown that propped up the glory of her bosoms. In his excitement to discuss his work and the inspiration behind his work, his false teeth dropped right into her exposed bosom. Not wasting time, the party host, Maria Barrientos, reached into the delectable actress's bosom, sterilized them with the punch drink, and fixed it back for Ibanez. The scene shocked and probably aroused some other guests who would have loved to reach into the sexy actress's bosoms for the missing teeth. Even Ibanez was amazed and excitedly screamed to Nita, "You are Donna Sol! You are a very evil and wicked woman!" The novelist found the scene quite seductive and insisted to the filmmakers that the role of Donna Sol in the movie adaptation of his work, Blood and Sand, must go to none other than the seductress before him. Nita's involvement in the film was good for her, as she graduated from being just another vaudevillian who sang in Ziegfeld Follies to become one of the luckiest actresses to star in a film alongside the great Rudolph Valentino. Her encounter gave her the advantage the other actresses desperately sought. The role had been one of the most coveted roles, as many actresses auditioned for the role. The filmmakers were at a loss on who to use as their star. However, Nita's kindly bosoms had a statement to make, and they did. They helped her portray herself as a real-life seductress, the primal femme fatale that Hollywood so loves to keep in its ranks. Perhaps due to the nature of how she got the part, Nita believed she had to do more to convince her co-stars she had the acting chops and belonged among the stars. She delivered her roles seamlessly, spreading steam and soft moans whenever she appeared on the screen. No one would doubt her talent, and the audience wanted more of her. But there is this curse in Hollywood that few stars have been able to avoid. In Hollywood, the cost of being spectacular in a role meant acting that same role in another movie and then another movie. The star would become stuck in a loop caused by their own brilliance. It's a shame that this curse plagued the beautiful actress for most of her career, but compared to her other misfortunes, being typecast looked bearable. Nita Naldi, that exotic name fits her exotic body. Her parents must come from a long line of foreign nobility. She even said that she was Italian, and at other times she would say she has a Spanish descent. However, she would call herself Irish if you went to meet her again. If she were in the mood to talk, you would hear her say that her parents were diplomats. If you don't believe, you can go and confirm with her sister, Maria Naldi or Mary Rinaldi. The woman loved to court mystery, and it was wise of her too. After all, such mystery aids seduction. But Nita loved to lie. Her parents weren't diplomats, but she does have Irish and Italian ancestry, with her father being Irish and her mother Italian. Her parents were working class, and she was born Mary Nonna Dooley in a Harlem tenement. Some say that she was the third child of her parents and the first child that didn't die in infancy. Maria Naldi, or Mary Rinaldi, wasn't her sister but her roommate when she was in school. Most of her siblings died in infancy, with Daniel or Frank being her other sibling that grew out of infancy, so out of 6 children only 2 survived. The sexy actress had a Catholic upbringing, as she attended the Catholic school Holy Angels Academy in Fort Lee. She had to take the ferry across the river every Monday and return on Fridays. The school allowed girls to have quality education. Her parents believed that their daughter would have a higher social station through that education. Their daughter had a better social standing, at least for some while, but it wasn't what they had expected. Their daughter followed the path of the other alums of her school to become an actress. Some reports claim that Nita began acting when her mother died in 1915, after having a brief stint as a model. Her acting began in revues, and she appeared in notable ones like the Ziegfeld Follies. She did some other stage plays, which earned her the popularity of being a stage femme fatale. Her elegance on stage was unmatched, and she played into her uniqueness. At the time there was the rave for blondes, but Naldi had dark hair, and to sell it she played into her Italian ancestry. She sold the looks of the exotic foreigner to the audience, and they lapped it up. Her fame as the vamp that would consume people's souls slowly began to grow, and it left the edges of the stage to filmmakers of silent films. They wanted her in her picture. She wasn't blonde, but they didn't care. Her first major outing was in the silent film Opportunity. Her opportunity came, and she took it. She dazzled the mind of the audience, and this in turn led to more opportunities. There was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where she acted alongside John Barrymore. She started her Hollywood career with the cream of the crop, and she continued it that way. She wasn't the lead actress in the film, but her performance was so mesmerizing that she outshone the lead actress in the film and got more praise too. Her role alongside Rudolph Valentino in 1922's Blood and Sand cemented her as a silent film legend, but the film continued the trend of her being typecast as the seductress. She was supposed to act in a one-off film for Players Lasky, now Paramount, but the success of Blood and Sand and her part in it convinced the studio execs to give her an extended contract. In July of that year, she got a 5-year contract. That contract, while it helped her pocket, doomed her. Instead of capitalizing on the lady's momentum, The studio didn't trust her in a lead role, but used her image to sell a couple of films as a supporting character. Her potential as an on-screen vamp was wasted. That much raw sexual energy for a supporting character. Sometimes these studios can be so uncreative. The Ten Commandments and 1924's Cobra all followed the trend of using her as a seductress. The actress wanted more, but her precedence as a stage vamp wasn't doing her any favours too. It certainly didn't help that off-screen her continued performances still revolved around her appeal as a seductress. Unfortunately, after a few films, without even exhausting the 5 years of the contract, the studio released her, and what could have been her best project with Rudolph, the Hooded Falcon, was scrapped. The two had great on-screen chemistry, so it's surprising that the studio let her go. This is more interesting when the lady's popularity rose even when Theda Bara was still hot in Hollywood. The release most definitely harmed her career as she returned to seek one-off films. Although she worked with Alfred Hitchcock for his second film, The Mountain Eagle, Alfred had a different vision from other filmmakers of using the delectable actress. For his film, he cast her as a schoolteacher and allowed the actress to show her acting chops to the world. She delivered. But her time in Hollywood was drawing near. She had a couple of European films, but when talkies came, she retired. Her last film in the United States was What Price Beauty in 1928. While she bowed out from Hollywood, she continued to act on stage, belting a couple more Broadway performances. She was in The Firebird in 1932 and Queer People in 1934, but by this time she had gone out of fashion. She wasn't the Hollywood standard beauty again. The star struggled with weight, and it affected her ability to get roles. Despite the weight challenges, she wasn't discouraged from performing. She continued with even more gusto. She reunited with Mae Murray in an off-Broadway stage film and joined the cast of the Any Language Broadway show. She even became a mentor to Carol Channing for her role in the 1955 film The Vamp. Still, she continued to dwindle and became a lost star. Losing something dear to her isn't strange to the actress. She lost her siblings, her mother, and her marriage. Yes, the delectable actress was married, and only once. She differed from the other femme fatales that hopped from one marriage to the other. She married once, and when it didn't work out, she stopped trying. She frequented Europe many times in her career and, along the line, got acquainted with J. Searle Barkley, who was 24 years older than her. By 1923 they had something going on, even though the man was married at the time. Barkley was a playboy, and when he divorced his wife in 1929 he eloped with Naldi to France. Naldi had retired from films at this point, and she had more time on her hand. They returned to America in 1931 and married shortly after. Their home was the Plaza Hotel in New York. The two left the luxurious Plaza Hotel for the less luxurious Wentworth Hotel in Times Square, which gradually became worn down as time went on. Some say she divorced and others say her husband died, but what was certain was by 1945 the actress was alone. She gained traction with the theatre and got different interviews on different platforms, but she didn't hit her previous heights. It remained like this till she died, and was so alone that people didn't notice she was dead until 2 days later. This is a sad way to go, considering the actress has delighted the hearts of many. Just like much of her life was covered in the fog of obscurity, her death was even the same. The actress died of a heart attack, but before death she had left her dilapidated living quarters to get fresh air. She was a shadow of her former self. She didn't have the wealth that helped her maintain her elegance, but her famous coarse tongue still remained untamed. She was spotted and a photographer took her photos. The picture captured the actress's fall from what was. When the picture was released after her death, people reached a startling conclusion that the actress was a heavy user of heroin. News began to circulate about Hollywood was a death trap for its stars, and how stars indulged in acts of evil. It wasn't so. Hollywood can't keep secrets, and if Naldi was a user, word would have gotten out sooner. The only drug Naldi may have abused would be weight loss pills, which would help her lose weight and return to her former position as a star. Naldi struggled with money in her later years, and perhaps, if she were richer, she would have been able to take care of herself more. No one can know the truth about whether Nita was a user or not. But why was Lee Remick the perfect alcoholic? Watch this video.